Good evening and welcome to USC Postgame Live here on the Voice of College Football. Well, that was an ugly one. We saw some pretty rough defensive play. We saw a whole lot of injuries from USC, and we saw some of the actually most atrocious and inexplicable refereeing that I've ever seen in a football game. But USC came out with the win. And on a day when Oklahoma State got throttled, the ACC got exposed. Hey, we'll take that win. Now, there's going to be a lot of unpleasantness tonight, I'm sure, as we reflect back on that mess in the desert. But we want to hear from you guys. So, once again, our goal here on the Voice of College Football is to be here for you, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. So, USC fans and USC watchers, we're going to have, in just a few minutes, we're going to put the link up, and we'd love for you to call in the show, especially anybody who is out in the desert. We want to hear from you. Now, there's a couple ways you can engage with us. First and most importantly, we'd love for you guys to call in. We use a StreamYard link, connects directly to your phone. When it says, like, can we access the microphone, blah, blah, say yes. It's not a virus. Just say yes. The second way is going to be through the chat. So we have a live chat going on. We'd love to engage with you guys with. And the third way is that you can engage with us on Twitter or through email if necessary. Our Twitter handles are on the screen. You can see mine right there. And we'd love to chat with you that way. Now, if you have a question that you want the group to address right away, you can send us a super chat through YouTube or reach out via Venmo or PayPal directly. And that helps support the Voice of College Football. So, without further ado, let's bring on the team. I am here, as always, with the amazing crew of Tim Prangley and LBC Trojan. Guys, it was an ugly one, but came out with a win. What do you have to think about this game tonight?
It was ugly, but when you're missing some of your best players on both sides of the ball, and you can go on the road and come away with the win, I know that Rick is going to say something a little different, but tonight was a night where the backup shined, right? Tonight was a night where you had a guy like Bryson Shaw step up. You know, we'll talk about that later. When you have Kyle Ford, who's been with the Trojans for like, I don't know how long, and he shows up and he balls out. That big 70-yard play, clutch in the end zone. And then Taj Washington slowly all year long started out hot early, and he just continues to impress on both sides. I love it when they spotlighted him on that play where on special teams where he made that great start the third quarter. So there's a lot to talk about. I agree with all you guys. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and that's on that. I'm gonna segue right over to Rick.
Hey, thanks for everybody joining. How we doing, Tony and Tim?
We survived.
We won.
Yeah, that was a big dose of ugly, and to me, it's not acceptable. And I'll call out Lincoln Riley on the play calling. I talked about it with you guys after the Utah game, and I'll talk about it now. Where the hell was Travis Dye earlier in the game? We got Travis Dye in the fourth quarter. Yes, that should have been happening from the first quarter. Run the damn ball. What is this getting addicted with throwing 40-yard passes on first down? It's ridiculous. Yeah, you made a couple, but I'm sorry. It was bad play calling the whole night. You didn't need to do that with Andrew Voorhees out, arguably your best offensive lineman. You have no Eric Gentry in the middle, and they were eating up the middle with those passes. You had a one-handed Shane Lee. You didn't have Raylan Goforth. You knew this going in. No Jordan Addison, no Mario Williams, and you're going to go ahead and call the game that you did. Oh, and let's just throw in an onside kick because we wanted to get the ball back and get another possession. Ridiculous. So I'm not pleased. You put your defense that was already suspect in a very disadvantageous position. The fact that we won by 8 points, we're lucky. Did I cover everything? Oh, and then mix in the Pac-12 refs, which you usually get. And maybe Lincoln Riley didn't learn his lesson at Utah, but that's another little salt and pepper on your food there. Another dynamic that you deal with. And yeah, we'll take the win, but it was ugly.
It was, and I'll tell you, LBC, this I think there needs to be a serious, and I know, and I'm not. This is not whining about the refs. I think that there is a serious CEO level leadership problem. I honestly think Coleman, who runs the Pac-12 refs, who John Wilner had pointed out years ago, actually is unqualified for the job. Like, he literally does not meet the base qualifications that any Power 5 conference has for that job. The man is unqualified for that job and should not be employed by the Pac-12 in that role. Needs to be fired. And I actually think it goes higher. Merton Hanks, who is the head of football for the Pac-12, who has allowed the officiating to denigrate to this point of national mockery. Merton Hanks, you should not work for the Pac-12 anymore. I'm sorry. No, that's harsh.
I love your passion, and you're absolutely 100%. But you know what? These Utah fans that have been in the conference for 15 minutes, they're going to say, hey, we don't want to hear any more whining from USC fans. I've heard it all week on Twitter by these Utah geniuses. But, hey.
Remember, LBG, we have to pay pity on the Utah people. They're exposed to BYU people. And I think that the whining and sobbing of BYU rubs off on them a little.
The refs,
they're good people.
It is what it is. It will always be that. Another reason to frickin' improve your game calling. And Lincoln Riley just didn't have the play calling for this game, and he didn't have it against Utah. Bottom line, he didn't.
Now, Rick, just let me throw this out at you.
Yeah,
is it the play calling, or is it again? As I'm even like reticent to call him a sophomore. You know what I mean? A guy that's probably like his 15th start, who's making great things happen. Here's the one thing about Caleb Williams: you don't ever want to put the bridle in too tight on a stallion. You know, you don't want to take that wild part out of it. You know what I mean? But I really wish he would check that damn ball down sometimes on second down and third down, especially.
Tim, it's not that. It's absolutely not that. What was Arizona against the run going in? Bad. So why are you even throwing long bombs on first down? Run the ball. You have Travis Dye and Austin Jones. You brought him to USC for a reason.
My issue with the defense, though. I mean, and here's the thing: the defense is dinged up. My issue is not with the offense. The offense got 621 yards. The offense, put up 45 points. And actually, we probably would have 48 and maybe even 51. Think about it. They should have a field goal at the end of the half, and I will explain that. And then also, they shanked a 39-yard field goal. So we can't blame the offense because that's 50. So we almost had a 50 burger on them, 411 yards passing, 210 yards rushing for 621 yards. Now our defense gave up 543 yards. That's what got me heated.
Well, that's part of it, Tim. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you run the ball, you eat clock, you keep the defense off the field. Okay? This goes back to Utah. Everybody's complaining. And it was like, how come you couldn't make adjustments to stop Dalton Kincaid? Well, duh. Okay. Well, run the ball, eat clock. Your best defense is your offense. Okay? That was the lesson. You lost. You're going to go down the desert. Same thing was happening tonight. Could you see it or not? And then you kick an onside kick to boot? It's ridiculous. Well, run the ball.
On the onside kick, the reason why I did the onside kick was because there was I believe it was a personal foul or
it was a 15-yard penalty. So we were 15 yards.
So you get the ball at the 50, and then you're kicking your onside kick. So they're gonna get the ball around the 40-yard line. So realistically, that one I don't have that much of a push with, because let's face it, the way they're moving the ball, they're gonna get the ball from the 20 to 40 probably in one or two passes. So if you got a chance to get a steal one, in that case, I'm not too upset with it. I don't like the optics. It's like, we're going to kick it, we're going to stop you. But unfortunately, it does reek of desperation a bit when you say, well, our defense can't stop, anything.
Especially because we couldn't stop them. So, pushing them, even if we pushed them 20 yards back, heck, I mean, even if we kicked the ball out of bounds and got in, I still think we would have been better off.
You're 100% right. This is a terrible rush defense we went up against. I'm not arguing with you at all. We should have ran the ball more. I agree. And early. I totally agree.
All right, guys. We have our first. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's a perfect example. It was in the fourth quarter. You're going to throw a low percentage pass on first down to Michael Jackson. Okay, Michael Jackson has barely played this whole year, and you're going to throw a 40-yard pass to Michael Jackson on first down? Come on. It's ridiculous. That's a low percentage pass. It's just the play calling really was ridiculous, in my opinion.
All right, guys, we got our first guest. Let's welcome Pac-12 fan Larry Pilgrim to the screen. Larry, welcome.
Hey, fellas, how are you doing tonight?
Good, thanks. Hey, first of all, congrats. We know Larry's a Utah grad. Your guys looked good the other night. Survived the trip to the Palouse. USC survived the trip to the desert. What'd you think of what you saw tonight?
I agree with every single one of you. So LBC, Rick, they had so many nice 10-yard checkdowns. They should have took that, kept their offense on the field. Dye was just eating them alive. So I agree there. And then, like, Tim says, with all the injuries, it was hard to come out with the win. I thought USC was the better team. Arizona, I think, played their best game of the year. You got to give them a little bit of credit. I think they would have scored on just about anybody in the Pac-12. They played really great tonight.
Well, and Larry, Lincoln Riley said at the beginning of the week that he thought this Arizona team might be the best offense that they have gone up against all year. I thought it looked good.
Other than their offensive line, if their offensive line was a little better, I think they would be, if that makes sense. Because Delora was running for his life 2 seconds into the play.
It would have been nice if it would have been nice if while he was running for his life, we didn't let him get 15 yards every time. Just as a
you guys couldn't. Your contain was rather strange tonight, but I mean, without your, Utah, just not to bring them in, but that game we had with you guys, I mean, that took out all of our guys and it took out all of your guys. We were missing. We had to start our fourth running backup QB. Like, we just killed each other in our game. So you guys
you really did.
You were decimated too. So I think USC was a better team for sure, but I can't disagree with Rick. I mean, the 5-10 yard game was there all night and Dye was eating them alive. So, I mean, Delora got to stay warm all game. USC, I agree, Rick. They try to go 25 plus yards too many times.
How many more one-handed Spider-Man catches do you need to see to know that the magic was happening in the desert? My God. Singer and McMillan, it's kind of like Kincaid all over. All right, they're making these crazy catches. Adjust your play calling to end game and what is happening. And it didn't happen. And you lost in Utah, and you should have lost. We should have lost tonight. And the refs were trying to make it happen at the end of the first half. I don't know what the hell.
Oh, that was the other thing.
Larry, what did I do? Larry, what happened? Being a Utah fan, what happened there? You tell me.
So on that penalty, I don't think it's a penalty, but in all honesty, the refs consistently call that on any team. And so when they called it, I thought it was silly, but it's like, you know what? They call that on everybody. To me, the coaches need to do a better job. Once the ball's left that quarterback's hand, you better look like you're trying not to touch him. Don't get in anybody's face. Like, the Pac-12 refs call that crap. No other conference calls it that tight.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. The roughing on Williams was absolutely roughing. I think what we're talking about is what Rick was talking about is the horrible clock. What happened to the clock there? So it should have stopped for a first down.
Gross ineptitude.
It should have stopped
at the half.
5 seconds left on the clock.
I don't know why they.
Hold on, there. I got you. Yeah. So 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
And they should have stopped the ball until the ball was set to play. Then you run the clock. Then you spike it. With 5 seconds left, there was plenty of time to do all of those things. Not only did they screw it up and the clock started before the ball was actually put into play, it expired before it was snapped, and then they let them run the damn play. I mean, it looked like a complete circus out there, but I guess that's nothing new for anyone. The Pac-12 realized
what it looked like was the ref was placing the ball and they started the clock before he got out of the way. That's what I saw. Because they should be able to spike it.
Larry,
it literally started before it was placed down, Larry. If he wasn't over the ball, he had the ball in his hand still.
In his hand, behind the quarterback. He had his ball. He was not even to the line of scrimmage. The referee was walking with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have had a chance at a field goal because, I was looking at it and I couldn't see, and I got a big ass TV, and I'm like, what's going on? Why are they all standing there forever? And obviously, if that's what happened, they should have been able to get it. I couldn't quite see, and I didn't get to see a replay of it, but yeah, they should have had a field goal. I mean, luckily, 5 seconds. Yeah.
And luckily, it didn't cost SC the game, which that would have really sucked. But it is still, again, just cannot wait to get away from these referees. I'm going to miss the Pac-12. I will not miss these refs.
You know what? You went on the road.
This is the same crew that we've seen appalling officiating from all year long.
Yeah, but you guys got out of there.
I don't want to dox them. I don't want to say names.
Yeah.
But these referees this particular crew is part of the problem, and it's why David Coleman and Merton Hanks should not work for the Pac-12 any longer.
I believe his name was Mike Merriweather. I think that's his name.
You know what? You guys got to take the high side here.
Oh no, Larry, I am taking the high side. I pretty much spelled it out. But that's what you also have to deal with is the Pac-12 refs, and you don't know when they're going to strike. People like to say, your Utah brethren have been in the Pac-12 for 15 minutes. We're complaining like, oh, you USC fans like to whine and that. No, just please. You haven't like suffered enough. You've been here for 15 minutes and you think you know everything. And you know what? Just be happy. You beat USC. Take your victory and be proud. But don't act like this stuff doesn't happen every game. It does. And it's unacceptable if you want to be considered a good conference that should, right now the conference is playing great. What do you think the rest of the conferences are doing right now? They're laughing at us. All right.
Well, who were the refs in the Texas-Alabama game?
It doesn't matter.
When Bryce Young can throw off his helmet in the end zone upside down and not get a safety.
You understand, Larry? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 is like at level 2. All these other conferences are like level 8. When you have ridiculous refs, okay, and every conference does, but it's just another reason to laugh at the Pac-12. Okay.
All right.
Bottom line.
There's bad officiating, and then there's just inept.
Yeah.
We got to remember, officiating in game is a really difficult thing to do. These guys are moving at full speed, hitting each other, stuff happens. But if you can't even place a ball down, start the clock at the right time, that's embarrassing.
Who's that on?
The fact they didn't say stop, hold on, let's go to the booth and check the clock. That's what I'm missing about. It's okay to mess up. Why didn't they stop the game and go up to the booth? Because Arizona ran off the field, so then therefore we had to stop. I've seen teams pulled out of the locker room running. I remember. Do you guys remember how happy the Irish were when they thought the game was over in 2005? Just because they start walking towards the locker and the showers doesn't mean the game's over. It doesn't mean the half's over. If they had anybody of any talent watching and officiating that game, they would have blown the whistle, hold on, go to the booth, look at what happened, pull them back out, and played that down. And that's what I'm saying. Mistakes are one thing. Being inept, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, but who signaled the clock operator to start the clock?
Nobody did.
Okay, and who runs the clock?
Arizona.
They knew they had 5 seconds, Larry, right?
The referees knew.
5 seconds. That didn't just disappear in a split. You know what I mean? It was absurd.
That's what you're saying, Tim. They should have stopped it and said, "Why did you start the clock? Why did you guys start the clock?"
Pull everybody back, go into the booth, take a look at the clock, like normal, like what would have happened in the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and ACC. That Conference USA, American. That's gonna happen in every conference, but not the Pac-12.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I get it. They overcame it with injuries, with some questionable crap, and won. I mean, I get it. I'm not, just because we've only been in the conference 10 years, I'm not excusing them or saying it's not bad officiating. I'm just saying you went on the road, you were missing a bunch of your key guys, maybe had a couple of bad calls, you got out of there with a win, smile, be happy, and I get it. Your team just played, so I mean, just take a breath.
Larry,
Just
I
take
like
a
what
breath.
you said in the very beginning. Those kids for Arizona, the Wildcats, they did ball out.
They
Those
did.
guys-
They played
Now
great.
I know why Gerard Martinez and all the guys over at 247 were just screaming for this guy they call T-Mac, right? McMillan. That kid is insane. But really the story is, as far as it's Singer, man, this guy is he really a walk-on? And now he's up for the Blitnikoff. And now I know why. Because that dude just balls out, and they're a great story. They're an amazing story. And they had their A game, man, and made some great plays.
Yeah, you guys played great tonight. Your team played great. I would like to see Caleb stop looking 40 yards when he's got a guy 10 yards, And like Rick says, man, Die, he's just give it to Die, feed him. Until they stop him, just keep feeding him. I got to agree with Rick there. But that was a great win for you guys tonight. You guys looked pretty good. I mean, you guys looked good. I know it wasn't perfect, but made it look easy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it looked easy, but it was a survival.
Your offense made it look easy. There you go.
Yeah, they did. Well, and I will tell you guys, one of the things today, on a day when we watched Oklahoma State just get boat raced 48-0, we watched West Virginia should have beaten TCU. A lot of upsets, a lot of sort of realizations. The phrase I heard today is we learned that it's actually, the abbreviation is wrong. It stands for Awful Coast Conference. We survived and we got a win, and there's value in that, and there's value in the resiliency that comes from come from behind, or not come from behind, but keeping them at your heels.
I agree with my buddy Jay Miley in the chat. He flat out says, dude, not only should Singer be in the Sports Center top 10, he should be all of the plays. He must have, I lost count of just his play today. That kid should not be hanging his head. He played a hell of a game.
He really should. And actually, I think you're right. All of Arizona should. And I'll tell you guys who watch our Pac-12 show know that I am fan number one of Jedd Fisch and what he's bringing to Arizona's culture and what he's bringing to their team. And I'm not real happy with our team tonight, but Jedd Fisch did everything that Arizona fans could have hoped. And I'll tell you, the future is bright for Arizona football.
Yeah, it's moving in the right direction after being an absolute. We thought we were bad last year. We're talking about a team that's been horrible for years, right? They were 1-11 last year, and they were winless the year before. Is that correct? If I'm right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Good job.
They looked good tonight.
Yeah, they played great. You guys, I mean, their offense looked pretty. All of their receivers, not just Singer. Who's the number 2 kid?
Friend of the show.
Oh, and Cowling too. I mean, we can't leave Cowling out as well.
Cowling's been amazing this year. Wiley's excellent. I mean, they've got weapons. I agree. And like you said, you guys you were missing some key defensive guys, and that's the first time those guys are having to gel together in a game, and you're going up against an offense like that. I mean, I get it, not being happy with giving up what you did, but
well, that's what's frustrating. If you can see that's happening as a head coach, you have to adjust your game plan. Keep the ball away from them. They're on fire. Run the ball. Mm-hmm. Arizona has a horrible run defense. You've got Travis Jones. You got Travis Dye and Austin Jones. Now, Travis Dye had 113 yards on 20 carries. He should have had 30 carries.
But how long did you guys hold the ball for that one when Lincoln in that last quarter? I'm trying to remember. You guys had the ball forever.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I'm talking about the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. Have a heavy dose and keep the ball away from them. I mean,
like they were doing at the end of the fourth quarter.
Why kick the onside kick? Because you want an extra possession. Well, you have an extra possession by keeping the ball away from them. And you had evidence of Arizona doing magical things with one-handed catches by Singer and McMillan. There is a clue. Dial it up. Listen to the clue. But Lincoln Riley or whoever did not. That's what's frustrating. And that's why I'm in the mood that I am, because it's unacceptable.
All right.
Yeah.
No, Rick and I are going to argue, because I can't argue with 611 points and 45, which should be 51.
Empty calories, as you like to call it, Tim.
No,
those are empty calories.
But Rick, they should have put up 51 points. That's not empty. That's a full belly. It's our defense.
You know what? it could have been a 17-point victory with the same amount of yards with just more rushing yards. But you made it closer than it had to be. That's what I mean by empty calories. You got fat. You got fat on bad play calling. So,
well, and again, in the opening, I talked about it. So with Williams, he makes these amazing plays, and he makes amazing plays. But too often, I'm seeing he's not taking that check down and getting us into 3rd and long instead of 3rd and 5. When you got that guy right in the flat, drop it to him. I know you get the guy down, but don't try to force something in way down the field that has a low percentage. Just take those yards because, like Rick, you're saying, we have a running back that's going to get us those yards. You know, if we're 3rd and short, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, our whole playbook's open. You can run or pass, keep the defense on their heels, right? When you get in a situation where it's 3rd and 10, well, there's not a lot of options out there, and so you really are putting yourself behind the 8 ball. I want to stop short of telling him that to stop making those shots because he takes those shots and they work so often. It's the big part of this offense. I think the announcer said that we were 8th in the country in big plays, and when you have those big plays, it makes your defense that much more lethal. But I want to stop short of like calling out Riley because there were plays there that he left on the table because there were guys wide open. A dump off, Rick, right? For 2-3 yards, it's the same exact thing as a run. You're still going to keep the clock running. You drop it off. The guy's going to fall down inbounds. We're going to pick up 5-6 yards, just like a run play. But unfortunately, I think that Williams just was throwing the ball down, and this is the second year, 15th, 16th, 17th start, whatever it is. I can't wait to see this mature even further because you can't teach the talent he has.
Well, there was multiple times on 1st down that we were throwing it for over 25 yards. There's no need to do that. There isn't. Okay. Given where the roster was sitting health-wise going into this game. Okay. And coming off of a bye week and coming off of the game at Utah and what we saw. Now, look, hey, Lincoln Riley's Lincoln Riley, but I'm going to question what I saw. Now, am I happy that we won? Yes. That's fine. I'll take the W. But this type of play calling already lost us a game. And when we play quality opponents, whether it be UCLA or Notre Dame or in a bowl game, our defense is a liability. And it's even more so of a liability when we have injuries. And you saw that at the linebacker spot, wide open in the middle. So you have to adjust your play calling with your offensive personnel to prevent the other team from getting the ball. Plain and simple. That's all. And I didn't see it this week, and I didn't see it at Utah. That's all. We got lucky this week. We didn't get lucky last 2 weeks ago.
And to Larry, to answer your question, time possession was 30 minutes 46 for USC, and for Arizona 29-14. So really negligible. The time possession was pretty even.
It would, well, thanks to the fourth quarter, and they started running it. Because I think up to that point, what Rick's saying is what Lincoln finally did in the 4th quarter is what he would like to see him doing at the beginning of the game.
Absolutely.
With Travis Dye and peeling Caleb back, saying we don't need to score in 3 plays every time we get the ball.
Because you could exactly, Larry, because you can give him a heavy dose with run and then do a little play action and boom, bomb over the top. I'm better with that because, hey, you're going to get them. You're going to make them stop the run, which we know they can't. And you've got the receivers on the outside to take advantage of that.
What I saw a lot with when Caleb had more than 3 seconds in the pocket, if he was 3 to 5, he had a crosser underneath anywhere from 10 to 15 yards running free. There wasn't a guy 10 yards and he was taking the 25, 30-yard shot. That's
my
what
point.
He doesn't even need to take the 2 to 3 yarders. He had 10 to 15 yard first downs, and he's not even looking at them.
And not even, Larry, not even 10. Take that 5. Take that 3. Because in modern offense, that is a run play. That is your run play. Drop it off in the flat. Drop it off to your tight end. Drop it off to whoever you have that's 3, 4, 5, 10 yards. But he's taking that deep shot, and that's when this year that's when these drives have stalled. But I can't believe we're here arguing and getting so upset on. We're 7-1. we should have scored 51 points. And we had Gentry out. You know, we had Goforth out. We had lots of injuries during the game, before the game. We had our two best receivers out. And we're talking. I want to switch it because I think we're going to be a little bit too negative, to be honest.
Yeah, I felt the same way about the Utes going up to Washington with missing everybody. So you got out of there. You missed whatever the refs could or, couldn't do. And you got out of there, take the win, heal up, and look forward. I mean, and hopefully your coach can learn. And, so.
Rick, your point is duly noted, and I do get it. I do.
No, I'm sorry if I'm being negative. It's that because we were very close to losing this game. And honestly, Arizona shouldn't have been on the same field with us. We should have blown them out, and we didn't. And that is frustrating because if you're looking to be a championship team and play in the Pac-12 championship, you have to, no matter what, perform. And part of that is coaching, scheming, game planning, and part of it is execution. And I just thought that we were put in a bad situation tonight. Jay's right. A win is a win. I get it. But, is that type of play calling in future games going to catch up to us?
Well, and one coming up, right, Rick? One coming pretty soon because I've been kind of a quiet, kind of low-key fanboy of Delora for a long time, going way back to Washington State. That kid on bad teams would ball out. We saw him work with his legs. But see, that's like DTR Jr. If we don't shore this stuff up, and again, that's why I said when I was texting on you guys or somebody during the game, we need to make sure we rest up Gentry 100%. We got to make sure that we have somebody with some speed that can spy that guy, because if not, it's gonna be a long day for us.
Yeah, if we play tonight like against UCLA, we will get smoked.
Well, yeah, we can't. With
Tony
missing Gentry and those guys, we're in trouble.
Tony, am I being a little too negative, or are you kind of getting what I'm selling?
I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay.
I thought our defense was atrocious. In all honesty, Arizona is a good team, but our backups should be able to beat them.
Yeah, agreed.
So
yards.
And our backups should not be even playing our second team. We shouldn't give up as many yards as we gave tonight. But we got folks in chat reminded us. Carl points out, remember, we were 4-8 last year.
I do remember.
Absolutely. Again, this is why I wrote on a little headline right here. We escaped, we survived a scare in the desert and held on to win, and we'll take that win. And if you guys remember, going back to, I hate to be that guy and be like, Barker in 2005, but we survived a lot of scares in 2004 and 2005 and 2008 and some of those great teams. And one of the hallmarks of great teams is surviving scares to come back to win. And in this case, we didn't come back to win. We led, I think, every minute of the game, didn't we?
Yeah. Yep.
Or certainly,
we went down early, 3-7.
3-7. What? Yeah.
But then we never looked back. Yeah. I like that about 2005 because that's what it reminds me of. I'm not calling this offense a 2005 offense by any means, but we didn't have the best defense in 2005. We really didn't have a USC Pete Carroll defense in 2005. Just look at the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So we got ourselves these kind of shootout games and stuff. But the difference is now is, again, a couple of things. One, do you remember last year, or even going back to any of the previous administrations, 3rd and short, 4th and 1? It's like we're going to get hit in the backfield. They have been money on 4th and 3rd and 4th and short. 3rd and 1 now. Does anyone here get nervous? I swear it's going to bite me in the ass, but I'm not nervous anymore on 3rd and 1. I'm really not. We're not exactly playing Georgia, right? We're not playing Michigan, but I'm still not nervous on 3rd and 1. And I have good reason to, because these guys are nails. And I think you're right, Rick, but I like that the last drive we had, second to last drive we had before the first half and at the end of the game, when we had to run, when we had to burn time, burn clock, we were able to do that. Other USC teams have not been able to do that. And the way that we were able to run the clock out and the way that we were able to burn clock and the way we were able to run the clock down the first half, they scored super fast. But I like the patience they showed on that drive.
And we got let's bring on Let's bring on real quick Gixxer Squid, friend of the show and great Trojan fan. Gixxer, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys?
What's up, man?
Yeah,
Fight on.
right? I would honestly, it's just an average game. I mean, to me, it wasn't really impressive. Caleb's stats probably look good to people that don't really follow, but yeah, it was just, I don't know. I was surprised it was so close, to be honest.
You're not impressed with 411 yards missing his top two receivers, Mario and Addison?
No, I thought Caleb did extremely well. I'm just saying, like the game overall, I felt like there was just a lot of things. Earlier, you were all talking about Travis Dye and the lack of production in the first half, and I completely agree. One comment I made earlier before I called in was I'm still really concerned about the special teams. I mean, I don't know, was it 2 or 3 missed field goals? I don't remember, but I just think that's going to come back and bite us later on.
Yeah. Were there 2? I thought it was 1.
No, it was 2. Remember the one was like a 59-yarder.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. 56-yard field goal. That was just dumb. There you go, Rick. I fully agree. That's on Riley. That one was bad.
Throw the ball 20 yards then if you want. That one made no sense.
But on that play, if you guys remember, we were moving the ball, right? And then we got the penalty. And instead of trying to again take that underneath thing and move the ball, because you had 3 plays to get like whatever it was, 3 plays to make 20 yards, but he's heaving it down on the second down play. He throws it all the way down the field, and then when they pick up some yards and then they blow it. They need to be more consistent. And again, I don't want to hit the brakes on pulling the reins too hard on Caleb Williams because he's just that guy. But man, sometimes I wish he would just be more patient and take the yards, because this team can pick up 7, 7, and 7 and then get the first down instead of trying to go all for it and then try to kick some ridiculous 56-yard field goal. I mean, that was poor.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know if you all noticed this, but first off, kudos to Arizona's wide receivers. I had absolutely no idea that they were as good as they were, especially Singer in particular. But that being said, given the most recent games, USC, I thought, did a really good job of not getting silly pass interference calls like we've seen in prior weeks. So that to me was a silver lining.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Especially given the talent of those receivers and big, you know what I mean? Big receivers like T-Mac, it's a big dude, and they were able to keep him, 8 catches for 60. Wait, no, sorry, he was targeted 8 times, 3 catches for 62 yards. So T-Mac only had 3 catches. To me, that's pretty amazing, but they were big catches. But let's stop giving them too much credit. Let's talk about our receivers, Gixxer Squid. You want to talk about our guys?
Yeah, I mean, I forgot the gentleman's name. He had 2 touchdowns? I'm trying to think who it is.
I think Taj Washington, number 16. Small
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like the receiving core definitely stepped up, but I will say there's some dropped passes. Rice in particular, I felt like there's at least 1 or 2 that you should just catch the ball. I don't know. That's just me, but.
Yeah, but what about Kyle Ford? And this is a guy that's been around for a while, had massive injuries, got that big 70-yarder. He got himself a touchdown. He had 6 catches for 114 yards. I mean, I say this game, I don't know if you caught the opening, but I was really excited about this. Was the game where these dudes, these unknown guys, like you had Bryson Shaw, talk about stepping up. That might have been the play of the game. That interception, it's like we took some of that momentum back with that interception, and we really should have put the game away with it.
Completely agree. I'm going to hop off. Thank you so much for the show. Best YouTube content for us USC fans. Super fan motivated, fan centered. So love what you guys are doing.
Hey, I love that you called in, man.
Thanks for calling in.
All those Trojan calls.
All right. Bye-bye.
And guys, we love to hear what you think. We put the link in the chat. I'll put it in again. We'd love to hear what you guys think of the game. Give us a buzz and call on in. You just have to click the link, and then when your phone asks, do you give it permission, just say yes, because we want to hear what you guys think. Everybody's yapping in the chat. It's kind of fun, but more fun for you guys to tell everybody what you think. So guys, looking forward, we've got Cal, we've got Colorado, UCLA. What are our takeaways as we look ahead for this?
Well, I'm hoping we get healthy. We're missing a lot on both sides of the ball right now. It appears we lost Haskins on the line. That's gonna be big. I'm hoping that we get healthy because this team healthy. If we have this, I don't think we roll this game if we have all of our guys. Does anyone here not think that? Regardless of the questionable play calling, if we have Mario Williams and we have Jordan Addison and we have Eric Gentry, I don't see this game being what we saw tonight. So going forward,
my gut tells me those players were held out because they didn't need to play this game. They're needed for the UCLA game. The next two games are going to be manageable. And there's some guys that stepped up, like Bryson Shaw stepped up. It was good to see Cortland Ford back on the line. There was an awesome play where he was playing left tackle towards the end of the game, and he pulled all the way to the right side to get the ceiling block for Caleb Williams to get that first down, to basically end the game. So that was great because, Cortland was kind of banged up, but he stepped in. And so, people in the chat are saying, hey, you should be happy with Lincoln Riley and this is much better than Clay Helton. Yes. I mean, come on. I know that, but I'm not going to BS you. I'm going to tell you how it is. Whether I'm criticizing the Lincoln Riley or not, it's with any team. I am not a homer. I'm not here with my cardinal and gold glasses. That's BS. That's lazy, and that does a disservice to you and to Trojan fans that are out there. I'll call out any team. There's a lot of teams that are out there that are bad. And when we have questionable play calling, I'm going to point it out because that could have cost us the game tonight. And that's all. When you got Travis Dye and Austin Jones, you don't need to be chucking the ball for 70-yard completions to Kyle Ford. That was beautiful. That was great. But really, I don't know.
We want to do a quick walkthrough of what else went on in the league today?
Sure.
So while we got Larry here too, first of all, Utah-Washington. Utah also very beat up with surprises with guys out, including hiding that Cam Rising was going to be out. And Utah came out with the win on the Palouse in a wild Thursday night. Any thoughts?
Anytime you can go into the Palouse without basically the key of your offense. Cam Rising is not just your quarterback. Cam Rising is the thing that makes that thing move and come out with a win. I was very impressed because we know that's a good team up there, and to go into Palouse is no easy task.
No, I agree with you. Moving on real quick. Oregon throttled Cal. I thought Oregon looked strong. Oregon looked great. Oregon looked every bit what we expected them to, and they just dished it out to Cal. And Cal played fairly well, I thought.
Yeah, they played fairly well. The problem being is that Jack Plummer, he's going to make mistakes. He made mistakes. Cal's got some great talented receivers, but their offensive line is just – it can't stand up. It can't stand up a full 60 minutes. And so poor that they can't even establish a running game with Jaden Ott. And Oregon was just too much for them. And the middle of the field was open all the time for Bo Nix to pick them apart. And they looked great. Oregon looked great.
They did. So we got Colorado coming up. Arizona State, dish it to Colorado. Interesting thing about Arizona State, guys, not sure if this bodes anything for the future. Their interim coach, Sean Aguano, has seized control of play calling and called a great game as they dish it out to Colorado. I think this certainly bodes well for us with Colorado coming up.
Let's hope so.
Exactly. Let's hope so. We got Johnny coming on. Got Johnny just 1 sec. And then, guys, Syracuse and Notre Dame. I was wrong. I thought that I believed in Syracuse. I bought the hype. And Notre Dame.
What's up with that score? Tony, what's up with
the score?
God,
let's flip around. Let's flip around. Okay.
Let's flip around.
Sorry, I was watching our game while I was doing it.
Tony, I know you picked Syracuse. Who was the only one to pick Notre Dame this week? Who?
That was you. You picked Notre Dame.
Yep.
All right. Because I said they're going to shake down the Thunder. They shook down the Thunder. Look what happened.
But I think you also picked Colorado, didn't you?
I did, but that doesn't matter. I picked Notre Dame. You were too chicken to pick Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's right. I was chicken. I've watched them play. Believe me.
Hey,
That's why.
hey, man.
Yeah, I don't know who that says anything for. That was okay. There we go. Now we're fixed.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry, guys. I was a little annoyed at the end of the game there. And then
Well,
Real
you should take Will out of the dumpster. I mean, I think it's not going to come out of the dumpster.
no, Will is coming out of the dumpster for the next game. Don't worry. And then I don't know if you guys have heard right now. I don't think it means anything. We don't need to spend any time on it yet right now. But we've got UCLA winning 17-3. They just got to.
They're going to win that one handily.
Yeah, I think they're going to stomp Stanford. So anyway, back to SC. We got Johnny Velasco calling in the show. Johnny, welcome to USC Postgame Live.
Yeah, good evening, guys.
Yeah, I know.
What do you think of the game
Johnny.
tonight? Oh,
Hey,
Johnny,
Johnny,
what do you think of the game tonight?
I watched the second half, and I believe that what I saw was that there was a lot of missed tackles. I expected the wide receivers to show up. So Tosh Washington did disappoint. Like as you mentioned, Kyle Ford had a big catch. I saw Brendan Rice in the second half, and I believe he was better in the first half. As far as the defensive unit, it kind of sucks for me to mention this, but I feel like we're starting to slowly start having a conversation about Grinch, like we used to have about Pendergast. That's unfortunate because I know we used to speak about Grinch and the defensive unit at the very beginning, all the turnovers and interceptions. Let's be realistic. I don't believe this is gonna, pan out in the Big Ten the way it's going. I've been keeping up with UFC offseason, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but I was listening to some Oklahoma Sooner fans talk about Grinch and how the defense was never there with Oklahoma, and that was kind of obvious seeing that in the Big 12. So this looks like the front end looks like a Corvette with the offense, and the back end just looks like a Beetle because it's not looking like it's balanced out. So I would like to see definitely some adjustments there. And the last few games, just like 2 weeks ago, I was at the Utah game, and it was hard. It hurt to see lose with one point, and then to go in this week thinking that the team's going to have a uplifted, motivated, and go in there, basically making a statement, and that's not being the case, especially for the last 3-4 games that we have for the season. And then UCLA coming around, and then Notre Dame seeming to pick up their pace, get some momentum. It's just looking like it's going to be a little rough. I'm glad, and I hope that we get our defensive man back in there, Gentry. I hope that Corey Foreman, he shows something in the last few games, and Addison and Williams. But as far as the wide receiver unit, I expected them to show out, and they did. So I wasn't really worried about the offense, but the defense did worry me.
Yeah, I think you hit pretty much a lot of great points. Starting with Taj Washington again. I don't know if you caught me earlier on, but he started out hot in the season, and he slowly worked himself into the starting, to a starting spot. He's just that guy, like when you need some guy to go in the end zone, settle down the zone, and get that touchdown on third down. I mean, he's just been that guy, and I really, really have enjoyed watching him from last year to this year, just how he's developing in the system. I don't like the whole idea. I don't really want to go too quick to judge Grinch, because I'm sure you remember last year's defense. Last year was horrible. I mean, tragic. And he's trying to get guys in. I'm with you. Some of these things are a head scratcher for me as well. How guys are just wide open. I would like to see. I think the pass rush was awesome, but I would love to see these guys break down a little bit, and if not make the tackle, at least turn them inside, or don't give them that edge, because they lose that containment. And he was picking up 14, 15 yards. Mobile quarterbacks are to do that. If you can't keep them in that pocket, at least you got to be able to slow them down or make them take a good angle. I think Yogi made a good point on one play. I can't remember who it was, but they went for the tackle on the left shoulder. If they go for the tackle on the right shoulder, even if he dips in, that's fine. But now he's moving back into traffic instead of giving that outside lane to run around and run for 14, 15 yards. So I've not been. I'm gonna say I've actually liked overall the defense. I just think you need to have the players to run this defense. If he's given a year or two and he gets his guys in here, and we're still looking at giving up 500 yards to Arizona, even when their guys are balling out, I think there will be time to change. But this is year one. We got to give the guy some time to get his players in. I'm not saying 2-3 years. I'm saying this year with the transfer portal. And you got to remember, we're missing Gentry, we're missing a lot of experience with Goforth in the middle. So that's the heart and soul. That's your quarterback of the defense. And we were missing our not our first guy, but also our second guy there.
And I agree with you, Tim, on the defense. The defense, you got to give time. It's no miracle here. And we knew that going in. And so that's why I've had the attitude that I've had tonight is if you're the head coach, you know what the defense is, you know the personnel that you're lacking for this game. So you have to adjust your play calling in game when you see what's happening with Arizona's wide receivers and their offense. And I didn't see that. And so that's the reason for my opinion this evening. That's a head coaching decision. You have to adjust to your personnel. And I would just prefer us to run the ball more, knowing those weaknesses that we had in the ball game. You don't hear me railing on the defense because the defense is what it is. It's a work in progress. And I understand that it is not going to be what championship defenses are this first year.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, we agree with a lot with what you're saying. It's just I'm thinking, let's give it a little more time. I agree with you. I like the fact you pointed out Taj Washington because I had my eye on him the whole game, just being those little glue pieces. You know what I mean? And the defense, we'll see. Anything else? You there, Johnny?
Yes, sir. I'm here. It's just that I hear like an echo. I hear your voice twice, so I'm giving it a second for it to kind of just go off. But one last thing I wanna touch. The gentleman on the OBC, he mentioned something very important that I also paid attention to. I thought that USC should have probably run the ball much more than what they did in the second half. I think that they were much more effective running the ball, and them throwing the ball all over the place. Like I said earlier, Brendan Rice, I thought that in the second half he gave up some of those attempts to even make a catch. So I just noticed that the run game is effective, and I think they should definitely keep that in mind moving forward.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys. I appreciate you. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Johnny. Good night. Fight on, too.
Thanks for calling in and fight on. Guys, we'd love to chat with you guys. That's what our show's here for. So there's so much lively chat. I'm absolutely loving what's going on there. You guys can also tweet at us if you want to get a hold of us. But most importantly, we'd love to have you guys call in. All you have to do is just click on the link in the chat, or if you go in the description, you can click on the link there too, and give permission for your phone and tell us what you think. So there's like a couple hundred of you guys or something watching right now, which is kind of fun. But we want to hear what you guys think. Some of you have some very strong opinions. We even got some Arizona fans in the chat. So Zona fans, Wildcats, you guys played a heck of a game tonight. So we'd love to hear from you guys. What did you think about your team as well? Guys, also, what do we think? Arizona State. What's going to happen in the Territorial Cup now that we've seen them both? Oh, I think you're muted, Rick.
You want my opinion?
Tell us. I always LBC. I always want your opinion.
I could care less about Arizona and Arizona State.
I love you.
I don't. Who cares? that's. I'm just being honest, man.
It's true. It's true. I care. I got friends from both schools, so I will find that game fascinating because Sean Iguana is doing some great stuff, and Arizona looked a lot better today than I expected him to look.
But here's what I know, and they said it a few times in the broadcast. Trojans aren't leaving LA until a possible bowl game. So, we're at the Coliseum for the next 2 weeks. We go to our second home the Rose Bowl, who just celebrated its 100th year birthday, and
Happy birthday, dear Rose Bowl.
it should be noted that we've celebrated 25 Rose Bowl victories in that Rose Bowl, which is basically one time out of every 4 years, USC is a champion in that Rose Bowl. So it is our second home. And then we host Notre Dame at the Coliseum. So it's a beautiful thing.
Carl says, best comment tonight.
There you go.
And
love you, Carl.
Guys, thinking about Notre Dame, we hit on this just real briefly, and we looked at Notre Dame, Syracuse. I thought Notre Dame looked a whole lot better. That did not look like the Notre Dame team we've seen looking pathetically. What do we think about that for USC coming up?
I think that's going to be a great game. They're what, 5-3 now?
Yeah, something like that.
We're going to see what happens when they play Clemson next week. And Clemson has a bye week, but they've shown they've been vulnerable at certain points this year, just like the ACC. What's up with the ACC? I think Wake Forest lost to Louisville. I'm sorry, Louisville. They lost to Louisville. Did they lost to Louisville? Okay, so that's great because they were tied in the AP with USC at number 10, I believe. So Wake Forest lost. Miami, WTH with Miami. You score 14 points in 4 overtimes, and you win by what, 2 points on Virginia? Oh my God!
I guess you know.
And you signed 2 recruits this week. You're shelling out a lot of money for mediocrity in Miami, Mario. Say that 3 times quick. I mean, God, ridiculous.
And a friend of the show, Chris, points out Pac-12 might have teams ranked 4 in a row, 8 through 11 tomorrow. That's very possible.
Chris, friend of the show, knows his stuff. So when Chris makes a comment like that, I would say he's 95% accurate.
He probably is. And Jimbo points out, Drew Pine, one of LBC's personal favorites, was only 9 for 19 for 116 yards in another one of the pretty stellar showing. Wait, hold on. Friend of the show, Austin Williams. Bravo Cards. Austin is a devout Louisville fan, and they looked good today. So congratulations on that. Congrats, Austin.
You could be going bowling.
You're going bowling. It's going to be kind of fun. But what do you guys think? Again, we want to hear what you guys think. So give us a call. Call in and fill us in with your thoughts here as we go. Larry had to run. Cheese is saying he thinks Utah will beat USC in the finals. We'll see. Utah's got quite a game up in Eugene, and I'll tell you guys, they're rolling. They're rolling at Oregon.
Hey Tony, I'm going to give you my glass half full kind of analysis. I'm sorry if I came in here negative, but the thing about it is I love our USC team, and when I don't see us reaching expectations that I think that are possible, it frustrates me. And maybe there's some Trojans out there in the chat that feel the same way, but so maybe I've got a little spoiled, if you will. But when we underperform, it's frustrating. But the one thing I really love tonight is you got to see the depth of our wide receiver room. So no Jordan Addison, no Mario Williams. Tim pointed out earlier, it's great to see Kyle Ford get, I think, 5 catches for over 100 yards. He's had ACL issues. He's stuck with the program. He could have transferred. He didn't. Taj Washington, all 5'8" or 9 of them, whatever. That guy is just a baller. Great job for Taj. You had Michael Jackson, the third, out there, and he had a catch, I think, in the third quarter that was basically, it was thriller. It was a thriller because he had just a great run. It was like a reverse play or a pitch play to him, and he found open space, and that was a creative play call. I like that play call. And, you also have the redshirt freshman out of Mater Dei, Ware Hudson, had a couple key catches as well. So, when you have your top 2 receivers out, USC showed their wide receiver depth tonight. It was pretty cool.
And I'll tell you something else. There was a big crowd tonight there in Arizona. That's something that they've struggled a little bit with. And, I thought that was good for the conference to see. Even Cal had a decent sized crowd today. I'm trying to see. I haven't been able to catch many shots of what's up in Pasadena, but I think we're starting to see Pac-12 crowds look like they're supposed to, which is certainly a little bit better. But guys, what do you think? Again, give us a buzz. I know a lot of you are right now sitting there watching the UCLA game. UCLA is up 24-3 on Stanford, so that's pretty boring. So you can just give us a call right now and tell us what you think of the game. Let me. It was homecoming for Arizona. Yep, looked like they had a good homecoming crowd. That didn't help UCLA when they had their homecoming, but yeah, guys, just click on that link and it'll connect you and tell us what you think. Looking at what else we got here in the chat. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, the referees were not helpful. Who's our backup field goal kicker? Would love some depth there. I'm not actually sure, Gixer. I think Tim knows. Do you know LBC real quick who our backup field goal kicker is? Will Rose, their backup punter.
I'm not
sure.
I thought that Dennis Lynch beat out Stouthouse. Wasn't Stouthouse kicking our field goals last year as well as doing the kicking duties? That's what I could have sworn was doing our kicking, because it was Stouthouse who beat out the young guy that left to transfer to
Ohio State.
Yes, and his name is escaping me right now.
I should know. He's in my fraternity.
Oh, okay.
I forget his name. Sorry, bro. Don't tell anybody.
But that's who was kicking the field goal last year, was Stouthouse, and somehow Dennis Lynch unseated him. But hey, it happens. Really, we shouldn't be concerned about field goals. It's touchdowns of the defense. Hey, let me ask you a question, Tony, and I'm going to ask the chat because I didn't see the game. Perhaps some of you in the chat saw the game. Perhaps you saw it, Tony. But what happened to Oklahoma State? They lost 48-0 to Kansas State, and
they look terrible.
That is surprising.
They got exposed. So you guys have heard me call them Make-A-Wish kids all year long, and the Big 12 fans in the chat. I mean, friend of the show, Wet Blanket. I finally gave up. I finally thought maybe they were Make-A-Wish kids. We love friend of the show, Wet Blanket, by the way, who is an awesome guy and devout Oklahoma State fan. And I finally get the thing about Oklahoma State and TCU is I finally bought into the hype last week, and I said, okay, they keep winning. Are they not Make-A-Wish kids? And then today we saw TCU just look terrible against West Virginia. They should have lost. I mean, they squeaked out the win, but they should have lost. And we saw Oklahoma State just get boat raced. And I mean, this is a Kansas State team who lost to a pretty mediocre, what I think is a pretty mediocre TCU team, and a Kansas State team who lost to Tulane. So, I mean, Tulane's decent this year, but I mean, they're not like beat the Big 12's #1 team good, and they have.
Don't be distant Tulane. They were an SEC member back in 1933. So don't diss Tulane. Come on now.
Not only am I not dissing Tulane, but I'm going to bring in the receipts for all of the douchebags who made fun of me when I said Tulane is a great expansion candidate for the Big 12, the SEC, or even the Pac-12, or the Big 12, the ACC, or even the Pac-12, because they have all the ingredients and they would actually be a great expansion candidate. So I was right.
That's surprising, though, that Oklahoma State, because they're a great program, to lose 48-0 just came out of nowhere, right? Because they were ranked number 9, and granted, Kansas State, I think, ranked 22nd, and they were 5-2, and to lose by that margin, my God, that was.
So Josh Pate went to that game for some reason, and I thought that was a dumb game to go to because there were so many more interesting games this weekend that Josh Pate could have gone to. I think he was just kissing up to his Big 12 fan base friends. But I'll be fascinated to see what he has to say about that, because it was just throttling. And
here's the thing too: it's always challenging to win on the road, especially in conference. Ohio State was in that game with Penn State much longer than I thought they would be, despite Sean Clifford doing Sean Clifford things and turning the ball over. But that game wasn't decided until the fourth quarter with Ohio State and Penn State. So, yes, I'm not, by all means, people in the chat, I am not comparing Arizona to Penn State. Absolutely not. But yeah, hey, if I'm looking at the glass full, yes, we came out with a victory. What was it? 8 points. A win's a win. We move on. So, would we have liked to cover the spread or won by a larger margin? Yes, it didn't happen, but it's a win.
Well, and I
And
did
when,
laugh.
and when Kansas State's losing by 48 points at home, when Oklahoma State's losing by 48 points to Kansas State, you know what? Yeah, we like having a W.
And I did laugh. Somebody in the chat said something like, well, thankfully, none of the reporters will know what happened because nobody gets the Pac-12 network. So,
Bingo!
whoever said that, bravo to you.
There you go.
The gift that keeps on giving, the Pac-12
right.
network.
Nobody will see it because we're on the Pac-12 network. And this, by the way, we're just reminding everybody else, is our last game on the Pac-12 network this year.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank God. Hallelujah. You guys have all heard the story. For anybody who hasn't, real quick, you're required to play as many games on the Pac-12 network as you have home out of non-conference games, which for USC was 3. So, because we had all 3 of our non-conference games are at home. So we had to play 3 games on the Pac-12 network, and the Colorado game was pre-scheduled for a Friday night. So that gives us essentially, 4 crappy scheduling games. So I think the Cal game is Pac-12 After Dark next week. And then the Colorado game is on a Friday night, and then UCLA and Notre Dame will both be ABC in great times. We got friend of the show, Chris, is getting a little cocky as his Bruins are stomping Stanford right now. Let's see. Just wait to count your chickens before they hatch. We'll see. Guys, and a couple of us asking, what's going on with Corey Foreman tonight?
That's a great question. I have no clue.
On a night where the Trojans were in the backfield more than their running back. You didn't see it flashing, but on the flip side of that, Nick Figueroa, man, and Thule, those guys were just. And then just down the line, if you would ask me about the defensive lineman, that's the one name that's not popping into my head. So I really don't know.
I don't know if it's an injury issue. I don't know if it's a confidence issue. I don't know if the game is the speed is too fast. I don't know what it is. And I don't know if the coaching staff does either. I mean, it sounded like he was given every opportunity and he was coming along, but I don't know what's going on with Corey Foreman. I don't know if anybody really does, but I hope the young man figures it out because he's a great talent, but you just got to put it together and make some plays.
All right. Hey, guys, let's welcome friend of the show, Austin Williams, who is a devout Louisville fan. So first, let's just take one brief moment. Everybody in the chat, give a round of applause to friend of the show, Austin Williams, for a big win over Wake Forest. Austin, first of all, real quick, and we want to get right back to USC, but just for everybody watching, give us just your 1-minute thoughts on what it was like to beat Wake Forest today.
Austin, I think you're on mute.
Austin, I think you're on mute. Oh, can Austin hear us? All right. Well, Austin, when you hear us, come on back. All right. So let's keep going on. We've got folks in the chat here having quite a time. Oh, he left. He probably had system issues.
I just saw that score, 48-21, Louisville.
Yeah, they
Wow.
stomped him. And who, by the way, on the Pac-12 show got made fun of for saying that Wake Forest was a Make-A-Wish kid. Oh, that was me.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I was right. Exposed.
Wow, they got wow, that is a bad loss.
The Make-A-Wish kids got exposed today.
Yeah.
And
so is it just Clemson in the ACC now? Is that the only team?
Clemson and the 14 Dwarfs.
That's kind of like the Pac-10 back in the days with Pete Carroll. It was USC and the 9 Dwarves, right?
Yeah. It is Clemson. You know what, guys? I don't even think they're dwarfs. It's like Clemson and the Amoebas.
Well, that's what they said about us, but I mean, let's face it. Some of those Washington State, right, Rick? You remember those
There were some good Washington State teams.
Cal teams?
Oh,
Some of those
I
Cal
don't.
teams
Oh, I don't agree with it. That was just a national
Oh,
narrative.
okay, good. Yeah, yeah. That's the
Totally
standard
disagree
they
with
got.
it. There were some great
But,
teams.
man,
You had Aaron Rodgers
the
and
Oregon
Cal.
State-
You had Oregon. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that's what I'm saying. The lack of respect for the Pac-12, and then you mix in the ref issue. It's like,
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
ACC, they don't have a 2003 Cal,
no,
right?
they
They don't have a 2000. They don't have a 2004 Washington State. They don't have these teams. That's a bad conference right now.
But they got Miami and Virginia playing a 4 overtime game, 14-12. Jeez, man.
You guys,
the slow mesh was
I had
too
a blo-
slow.
Okay, yeah, slow mess was too slow. Trojan John, you were so good today. Trojan John, by the way, is killing it tonight. Trojan John is killing it tonight in the chat. I'm loving it. And yeah, so I had a blast. I went on friend of the show, Traveling Fools, and Alex from Hurricane Central do the Miami post game. And if you guys think that we were a little befuddled at the beginning of this, you should have seen their Miami post game after that debacle today. You want to talk about somebody glad to survive the win? It was pretty funny. It was really, really funny. Oh, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, 4 overtimes, Virginia, but they won. Rob points out the Big Ten will soon be the Conference of Champions instead. Actually, I think statistically that is true. A little bit question, who gets possession in the divorce? Always, but we'll see. Guys, hey, we just put the link in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you guys think. There's well over 100 of you sitting there right now watching and chatting away in the different chat rooms. So call and tell us what you think. Trojan John, you're obviously hysterical. We'd love to hear from you.
Let's hear in the chat where they think USC is going to be ranked in the first edition of the college football playoffs that are going to be released
great call.
tonight
Yeah, right.
on ESPN. Let's hear what you think after this performance tonight. Guys, what do you think? Where do you think USC is going to be ranked in the college football playoffs? If you had to take a guess,
where do I think? I think they're gonna leave us somewhere in around 10. I think. I don't see us. I mean, I don't see us creeping any higher than that.
See, I don't know if they'll move K-State above us. I think we stay. I think we go to 9. I don't think 9. We go. Yeah, I mean, so in theory, two ahead of us lost. So who makes the jump?
Yeah,
that's the question. Is there anybody that would jump on us? So I think jump. I think 9.
I think number 9. Wake Forest was tied with us. They lost, and then Oklahoma State was number 9. They lost. I think we just bump in there. We're not going to jump ahead of Oregon, nor should we. And then you have TCU, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Tennessee, Ohio State, and Georgia, all winners. So I think number 9 is right about right.
All right, you guys, we got Austin Williams back. Austin, can you hear us this time? Austin? Oh, still having struggles. All right, so we're seeing we got a lot of 9. Gixxer Squid says 9. Guitars Are Cool says 9. Jimbo thinks USC goes to 9. Angel, I like your thoughts. You think we go up by 8th? Go up to 8th? Friend of the show, Chris, says he thinks 9 in AP. But how much does CFP differ when that comes out is a really, really good question.
That'll be good to see. Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to be real, real interesting. And then I don't know. We have to actually. I'll pull up the poll real quick, and we'll see. Who else we think would be up there. We can go. Let's take a look also real quick. Sorry, breezing through.
Actually, UCLA might be ahead of us, just because they might think they have a better defense. Which at this point, I wouldn't argue. They have a better defense than USC, and especially if they think they're winning 24-6 right now on Stanford. Looks like they're having a much better performance against a bottom feeder Pac-12 team than we did.
Yeah, they're up 24-6 at halftime.
So there you
Guys,
go. There's some kudos to you, Chris.
Chris, you guys are looking, and there looks like there's probably like 30,000 people in the Rose Bowl, so that's good. Like actually 30, not reported, but actually probably 30,000, which is good. Guys, what do we think, real quick? And we're going to talk about this more in our power rankings with the conference later this week. But any just quick thoughts? Any mistakes? Anybody we elevate?
Well,
I'm feeling real good about my Arizona pick to be the best of that little crowd down there.
Yeah, I think that you nailed that. I think that they are going to replace just that offense. I mean, the defense still sucks, but the way they balled out against a limping. Hey, going back really quickly, does anyone know what Goforth and we're still in Foreman's injuries are? Like why I know Goforth didn't play and Foreman, but why are they out? Does anyone know? The chat, if you guys know, if you can let us know, that'd be great.
Goforth was hurt in the Utah game. So I don't know exactly what his injury was, but it makes sense that he didn't play. I don't know what's up with Corey Foreman. I don't know. But if I'm looking at the power rankings, mine look about 100% accurate.
Although you've just been called out by friend of the show, Gixxer Squid.
No, Gixxer, I had USC going into this week at number 4 because I had Oregon obviously number 1, UCLA beat Utah, and Utah beat us. And we just didn't have, at that point in time, that's how I felt. We didn't have any substantial wins in the Pac-12 other than Oregon State. So that's why I have Oregon State 5. If you look at Stanford, Arizona, they're about the same. So that's where I have it. So if we beat UCLA, obviously we'll move up. But UCLA, Utah, and Oregon look better than USC. And I think tonight's performance kind of reaffirmed what I was believing.
Yeah, I got USC above Utah for sure, just because I saw them both play in Salt Lake City on a neutral field. I think everyone agrees with me that USC wins that game. If they're not at altitude and they're not getting screwed by refs, and if they're not playing on a Memorial Night to players that where lives were cut short. In a blackout game, they had everything going for them, and they had to go they went on 1 point on a 2-point conversion. To me, that meant that USC is the better team on a neutral field.
And I think Chris points out here, Oregon State, Washington going to be a banger next week. That is going to be a good game.
They both have buys. That's going to be a great game. It's on Friday night, also.
It's going to be a wild game.
Yep.
It is definitely going to be a wild game. Yeah,
I'm going to call it right now. UCLA is going to be ranked higher than USC in the first college football playoffs released on Tuesday night. Book it.
Probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're going on resume alone, they will.
Yeah, guitars are cool. That catch Singer made in the end zone behind ESPN, it belongs there. Singer played a great game. And again, we've been talking about USC. I just want to give kudos again. Anybody who's joined the chat, Arizona deserves kudos. They played their best game of the year probably tonight, and deserves credit for it.
Which unit you guys tonight in the chat and you guys on the panel? Which unit on the field tonight you think played the best? Well, maybe split up between defense and offense. So, which unit on defense played the best? Linebackers, line, or secondary? Well, we know it's not secondary.
For USC?
For me, easily it's the defensive line. That was a one bright spot for me. I wish they could have settled down. I mean, I know it's Jaden. It's Delora's really, really elusive. I think, but I still think they could have broke that down and made better tackles, at least for him inside. But as far as a unit, I definitely have to give it to the defensive line. What do you guys think?
I agree with you. Obviously, it wasn't the linebackers and it wasn't the secondary. It was the defensive line, and they got some pressure. Credit to Laura for getting out of it a lot, but they did. I think they did get 2 sacks, and they were hurrying him on some throws. But yeah, if I had to look at the defense, it was defensive line.
Yeah, and they did what they needed to. We didn't contain him on the edges. That's the problem. And Delora ran around. We'd have an almost sack, and then he's got 15 yards. There's absolutely no contain, and that killed us, I thought.
And Chris is being a bit snarky in the chat, talking about our wide receivers. He said that he thought it was the ASU receivers were the best. But I'll tell you, I will say right now, yeah, those guys are studs. But you know, are also studs. Taj Washington, Ford, Rice, Bynum. I mean, those guys play step up. Even Hudson had a couple of great plays. When he got in and showed what he could do. So, I don't think we take a second place to their receivers. I think our receivers, and these are our, quote unquote, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth best receivers. Those are their best receivers. That's my take.
Yeah.
Tony.
And guys, real quick for everybody watching, if you could, this really makes a huge difference for Mark Rogers and the Voice of College Football channel. If you could give the channel a like and subscribe, it makes all the difference in the world for the algorithms. Mark, we had a conference call with him until midnight last night talking about stuff, and it makes a huge, huge impact on the show. Not on our show, but on the whole channel. So if you guys could give it a like and subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic. And a couple of real quick, guys, a couple of things just in case folks that are watching haven't seen that are on the channel that are actually just really, really cool that we just want to give you guys a heads up on. And some of you have already seen it, but if you haven't, we did a fantastic chat the other night with the actual USC Trojan, Jacobo Herrera. He's an amazing guy. If you just go on the USC channel, you'll see it, or on Mark's main channel. It's in both places, easy to watch. And if you haven't seen, we had a really fun chat with the Stanford Tree, who's probably dancing right now over at the Rose Bowl. Fascinating guy and really interesting to sort of learn about like Stanford and their traditions because we see them a lot. And then finally, one of the coolest interviews that we've ever gotten a chance to be a part of, we got to talk with Dr. Elizabeth Chilton, the chancellor, like the CEO of Washington State. And that was a really, really, really neat opportunity. And those are all on the Voice of College Football channel to check out. So guys, I think it's getting late here. We're after midnight on the East Coast. Shall we start to wrap it up with some final thoughts on the big night for the Trojans tonight?
Yeah. Sure, let's do it.
All right, LBC, what'd you think?
Well, I don't know if people in the chat know this, but I saw it on Twitter earlier in the week, and USC's victory tonight was the 10th in a row against Arizona. The last time USC lost to Arizona, ironically, was in the desert in 2012. They lost 39-36. And that easily could have happened again tonight, but it didn't. But kudos to USC for going down to the desert, beating a very game Arizona team. And everybody knows that USC is the biggest game on their schedule, and Arizona played like it tonight. They were selling out one-handed catches by Singer and McMillan, great quarterbacking by Delora, and great play calling by Jed Fish, and they were in it. But USC found a way, despite having a number of players out, and that's what good teams do. Is they find a way to win road conference games. And so congrats to USC. Arizona, congrats on playing one heck of a game. You've got a few more games to try to gain bowl eligibility, but it's going to be a tough road. And we move on. We prepare for Cal, which is it's going to be a challenge because, again, everybody gets up to play USC. But luckily, it's at the Coliseum. So for everybody that tuned in tonight, thanks for your comments. Again, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm a passionate fan. And when I see something I don't like, even though it's Lincoln Riley, I get it. Yes, it's not Clay Helton. But when I don't think you're making the right coaching decision based on your personnel and what's happening in the game, I think we are very fortunate to win this game. So kudos to Bryson Shaw for stepping up. He had not been 100%. He was hurt during the summertime, had a quad injury, played a little bit on special teams the last 6 weeks. But he came in, and when we needed it to steal a possession from Arizona, he stepped up and got that turnover. And I think that was probably the difference in the game right there. But Tony, Tim, fantastic show. Appreciate you guys. And we move on. Good night.
Rick,
Have a good night.
I'll see you in a few minutes, Rick.
Yep.
Tim, what did you think?
Yeah, great win on the road, banged up, like Rick said. Again, also agree with Rick on that Bryson Shaw play, really almost being a difference maker in the game. It's nice to see the fact that this team's improving with every game. And we go, oh, well, hold on, they're stepping back. Now, I really see a lot. That pass rush tonight, not against the best defensive line, offensive line in the world, but it's there. It's relentless, and it's looking better. This game, it proves a lot. When you lose the caliber of players that USC lost on a road game, previous teams, and I'm not just talking about the guy that was here last time, but even previous regimes before that, sometimes things wouldn't go very well, and we just kind of start unwind. This is a professional coaching staff, and each game I do see that there are adjustments made and that things are happening, and I really look forward to it. This just reminds me of Pete Carroll's first year. People wanted to go to the playoffs this year. People think we should just go from being 4-8 to winning it all. We have to remember this is a building process. And just like in Pete's first year, where I think they were 6-6, you have to realize that it's not about wins and losses. These wins, I'm going to take them. They're great. But it's about the fact this team's gelling, they're getting better, and it's just going to continue to get better. You watch, I said a long time ago, if we get 9, 10, 11 wins in the regular season, you're going to see this recruiting class absolutely take off. So I'm really excited to get a win on the road under these circumstances. Was it perfect? Far from it. But what a great game. And I look forward. Thank you all for being here. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye, Don.
Fight on, Tim. Well, I want to thank you guys because we had just such a fun, lively group in the chat tonight. You guys were going at it, having all sorts of discussions, and that was really fun, and that's the purpose of the show. So we love to have it. We want to thank everybody who called in. We hope more of you guys will call in. 2 things to check out on the Voice of College Football channel. First, on Monday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, I think. Don't quote me on it. Double check it. Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire does a phenomenal show with Mark Rogers himself. So I hope you guys can check that out. It'll be especially interesting this week. Really, really good. And then on Wednesday nights at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, we're going to be back here with the Pac-12 live show, which is going to be a really, really fun discussion about all the games in the Pac-12 and looking forward to USC's game of the week. So we want to thank you guys all again. That's why we're here. And we also want to give a special thanks to Mark Rogers and the entire Voice of College Football community who give us this opportunity to be here, and we wouldn't be here without them. So, guys, it was rough. It was ugly. The refs were as atrocious as always, but you know what? USC survived again. We're 7-1. We're going bowling. Maybe we can even smell the roses. Have a great night, everybody. And as always, fight on.